Welcome back to the On Air with Jamie podcast. Today's show is brought to you by Superconscious Shift Sessions, which you are about to see an example of how these sessions go down. This episode has been the one that I have known for so long that I needed to record. And I have honestly been shitting bricks because this work is honestly so special to me. And I didn't want to just bring anyone on or just leak a random coaching call. I wanted it to be so intentional for you to really see behind the scenes of what working with me looks like, and also give you like an in-depth understanding of what we do during a recode. So this is part 2. If you're just stumbling across this now, you don't have to listen to these episodes in order. But last week we released an episode all around the questions that my podcast manager, Ebony, had on the recode. So I've answered all of those. You can go and listen to that. But honestly, if there is only one video, one episode, one thing that you ever listen to or consume from me, please let it be this one. What you are about to see is a live recode experience that my amazing podcast manager, like, can I say that any more times? Ebony, I fucking love you. That my amazing podcast manager, Ebony, came on to this show literally to experience so that she could give you live and real raw feedback. Ebony has never experienced a recode before. I've never done a session with her before. And so what you are getting to see is exactly behind the scenes of what it looks like to work with me, but also someone's transformation happening in progress, someone's feedback, someone's actual experience in their own words. And I just think this is so much more exciting for me than putting out testimonials and like people's feedback that they've given me. Like, you're getting to see it and experience it. What I want to say is that you can listen along to this, but you're not actually getting the recode experience yourself. When I do these sessions, there's a couple of things that need to happen first. Number 1 is that you need to give me permission to connect to your superconscious. And number 2 is that I need to be intentionally connecting into people's superconscious in order to be able to do the work, in order for the recode to be effective. Now, I understand that that sounds very woo-woo, but this is energetic work done on a quantum level. I am tapping into your field when we do this work. I'm tapping into your field. I'm connecting with you, and we are guiding your superconscious memory to look for things in your subconscious mind that are holding you back, to look for things in your body that is stored energy, that is traumatic events, that is things like that, right? And so you can't just listen along to this and think that the work is working on you. It's not, because I'm not connected to you. During this session, I am connected so deeply and intentionally to Ebony. And so it will only be effective for her. What I'm going to do instead, because I recognize that listening particularly to a session like this during the actual recode process is going to be a little bit weird. So what I'm going to do just for you, so that you really get an in-depth understanding of what is going on, is I'm going to narrate over the top of the recode process exactly what I'm doing, where I'm going, and why. Let's just dive into it, because this is a long one and I'm just, honestly, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to show you exactly what we do in the sessions. And of course, if you love what you see here, this is what we do in Superconscious Shift Sessions. But not only that, like, this is the work that I do in every corner aspect of my life, of my offer suite, in every program that I put out there. There is an aspect, deep aspect of Superconscious Rapid Recode. So if you love this, you're going to be safe in any corner of my world. Come and join me. What I want to do first is, have you announced anywhere like your little pivot, what you're doing next year?
Not really.
Okay, are you open to talking about
Yeah,
it? Okay, good, because this is going to be really fun. And this is why when I was like, oh my gosh, I should get Ebony to do like the coaching call, like leaked coaching call type thing, I'm like, this is actually perfect for her because you're going through such a pivotal phase.
Mm.
What we'll say is coming
Yeah.
into next year, because like you're getting so much inside scoop here, holy moly, that's okay. Ebony will no longer be editing my podcast come next year. And it's actually a really exciting moment for both of us, which you'll hear more about later. But I think you're going through such a pivotal moment that this is going to be really fun for you. And so what I want to start with is like really diving into where you're at, because your vision has changed. Yeah, your vision has changed and you're on a new trajectory, which is a really fun place to be to do a session. So let's start with you telling me like, where are you really at? What are you working towards now? What's this new vision?
Sometimes I feel like I lose interest in things and then I'm like, okay, I've stopped this, I'm starting this, I've stopped this, I'm starting this. I need to make it okay that it's like I'm doing something new, but I don't have to make it this huge big thing of exactly what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And I've been a lot more intuitive with it, to the point where, as you said, like I'm no longer going to be editing the show. I'm not just yours, but like I'm stopping podcast management, which for context was my full-time job. Then it was a side hustle as I was going into marketing. It was something that I was toying with because all at the one time I had a full-time job as a social media manager, got promoted to social media director, still was doing this podcast management on the side. And I was studying as well at one point.
I don't even know how you were doing it all.
Neither do I. And of course, it floated a few times in my head, like, do I need to drop something? Do I need to do something? And then I just didn't. And one day I went for a walk and I came back, and then it was a few days later that I messaged you and I said, hey, it's time.
Yeah.
But we've worked together for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And it was the first time in a year and a half. It was just very, very clear to me that I was like, I need to stop this now.
Yeah.
I didn't feel bad about it. It just felt like a really timely decision. And it felt like, okay, cool, this makes sense.
It's just like, it's obvious, right?
Obvious, yes. And it was just very clean for me. Yeah. I feel like people say that all the time, but it just did feel very clean.
Yeah.
And it kind of, things have fallen into place. And so I'm starting my own podcast. I had one in the past, which is why, I did the whole podcast management thing. I love podcasting. And it is going to be about marketing and the marketing space. And there's just been so many little things along the way that has led me to this.
Yeah.
And so people ask me a lot, okay, well, you're starting this podcast, and like recently I had that promotion to social media director. People are saying, what do you want to do? What is your dream job? One day do you want to work? Like, do you want to have your own agency? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And for the first time in my life, I've made it okay to say, I actually don't know, but this is what I'm doing right now, and it feels like it should be what I'm doing.
Yeah, I love that. So what I want to do, because I totally understand this, where it's like, okay, I don't have a full vision, but I know that this is what I'm doing. What I want you to do then for this is I want you to imagine yourself 12 months down the track. It's, what date is it? Let's just say it's the 31st of December, 2024, which by the way feels so fucking scary. And I want you to just think about, okay, if it was the 31st of December, 2024, and I'm like having this moment to myself, really reflecting on everything that I've achieved in the past 12 months, like everything that I've experienced and I've done, I want you to tell me what comes up there.
Surprisingly, a lot of like personal sort of stuff has come up.
Yep.
In terms of my personal life.
Yep.
Which intrigues me. And maybe it's because I haven't thought about, I'll stop trying to justify, I'm just going to say.
Yeah. Okay. Just tell me what's happening.
I'm actually doing some hobbies.
Love.
And I'm able to relax and switch off. And there's no guilt around it. And it hasn't impeded any productivity in my professional life.
Okay. I want to make a comment on what you've said there, because this is a really normal thing that a lot of people fall into, and it's where their choices, the things that they're working towards, aren't actually true because it's a negative vision. So where you've said like you feel like you're able to relax and switch off and you're not stressed and you're not guilty, can you see that they're all kind of like, they're like negative, they're the opposite, right? So what I want you to do, instead of being like, I can relax without guilt, I've got hobbies and I don't feel guilty, I'm able to switch off, I want you to really think of like the most empowering way that can be. So it's not that you don't want guilt, it's that you actually just want freedom to do the things that you fucking love.
Mm.
Right? And really anchor into it rather than it being, well, because it's kind of avoidant. And I did this for a really long time. I was like, oh, I want this business because I hate my job and I don't want to be in my job. So you're kind of actually splitting your energy by doing that, where you're like, oh, I don't want this thing, so I'm actually going to resist it. And I'm saying that what I want is over here, but I'm also kind of resisting this thing. Does that make sense? So instead of your energy being on, I want a freedom fucking life where I get to do the things that I love, you're like split. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you think about your vision and this day that you're reflecting on, I want you to just notice where you want to go into looking at that negative vision and being like, well, I don't want this and I don't want that. And instead flip it and be like, well, what do I actually want?
Yes.
I want freedom to do the things that I love.
I want to have boundaries around it and be protective of my personal energy and my personal needs.
Beautiful. So you want to be anchored into yourself first and foremost.
Yes. Yes.
And what else? What else do you see?
I would like the podcast to be successful. Automatically when I said successful and I'm thinking about podcasts and successful, I'm thinking downloads and I'm thinking the downloads of my last podcast and blah, blah, blah. But actually, it would be to have an impact, a positive impact.
Beautiful.
On those people who the podcast is for.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you've corrected yourself there because it's really easy to want to measure everything against what we've experienced in the past.
Yes.
And it's just not the truth. Like your past doesn't necessarily have to play out into your future irrespective, right? Because you don't know what the impact from this podcast could be compared to the last podcast that you have, which I know was extremely successful.
Yeah. And yeah, no, that's so true. I would like to just soak up, because the concept of the podcast is interviewing people who are in the marketing industry, PR industry. I'm sitting down with them. I've done 2 interviews already. I've learned so much. I just want to continue doing that. I want to continue learning and soaking in all of this knowledge. I want to have my community, but also have great connections in the industry, especially with the people who I interview, because I know it's such a value exchange. But so far, like I said, I've only done 2 interviews and I've just left being like, I'm so grateful for them as a person as well, for taking the time to sit down with me. I've learned so much. So the idea of, thinking that I'm going to do, I don't know how many interviews, maybe like 30, 40, 50 in that year. That's a lot, not that many. Okay, whoa, I just got tired. Maybe I actually don't know, and I don't really want to put a number on it, but I will be interviewing a lot more people. So the thought of being able to connect with people on that level is really exciting to me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And do you have any other intentions for the podcast at this stage? Like, obviously we want it to be like really having that impact and building that community around it, really imparting the value and the knowledge. Do you see it going any further than that?
Yeah.
Tell me what you see.
I don't know if this is bad to say, but like, I would like to be able to monetize it eventually.
I want to know why you think that's bad to say. We can unpack that later. I'm going to start that. Yeah. Tell me more about that.
I guess I would love it to get to a point where it could be more tangible. Like, so it's for marketing girlies at the start of their career or just in their early career. The idea of doing an event or a meetup or something like that is just electric to me. I just think that would be so much fun.
I knew that was in your vision. That's why I was trying to drag it out of you. I was like, I can see it. I can already see it. Okay, cool. And is there anything else? Like anything else that's coming up? Like just, actually, I want you to close your eyes for a second and I'm going to take you through that day and just see if anything else comes up. You can just speak it out loud once we get there. So just take a moment to take a big deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. All right. I want you to just imagine like it is the 31st of December and you're chilling somewhere beautiful that just really lights you up. Maybe you've got a candle, a glass of wine or a coffee or something like that. And you've got your journal there and you're writing about all of the amazing things that have happened for you in the past 12 months. And it feels like it's just been the most amazing year. And I want you to really feel like so much gratitude and just like accomplishment, like, fuck, like I can't believe that I did this. But of course I did it, right? And I want you to just start to, like, as you imagine yourself writing out on the page, and I want you to just start to speak out the things that come, and they don't have to make sense. Just let it flow through. What are you writing?
Speaking
Yep.
engagements and oh my God, my eyes are like
Yep.
going crazy.
Let it flow. You're
Okay, so like
connected.
speaking engagements, but so in the vein, but not necessarily just
Yep.
the podcast, like just in the
Yep.
industry.
Beautiful.
And a lot of like event
Yep.
stuff, but not necessarily just mine. It's just a lot of like
Yeah,
events.
I love this.
So I know that I'm going to Europe next year, but not like that. It's just that not at all has slowed down any growth, nomady kind of vibes. Just in a way that I am feeling like enjoying that time away, but also that's not putting a negative
you're still there.
Like hold on anything else. Yeah.
And what else? You mentioned earlier you want to be doing like some more hobbies and things that you love. Has anything come up around that? What does that look like?
I find it difficult, I think, to like, and this is probably part of the problem, but at the same time to be in my like professional career mindset and then the personal side of things. I think travel will be a big part of that because I'm going to take like an extended period of time away from work.
So let's do something for a minute then. What I want you to do is kind of imagine now like just taking off that career girly hat, and I want you to just put on Ebony at home hat and just sit and feel into that for a minute and just think about all the things that you would just love to do because you'd love to be doing it.
Swim more. I got a paddleboard for my birthday. I want to do more paddleboarding. Nature is huge. Nature is a lot. And doing stuff like with my hands creatively. I'm not good at it, but I like doing it. Going into like organization, refinement of routines and all that sort of stuff. That's what I think about when I think about me at home.
Perfect. Something that I can kind of already see that we'll touch on in the recode is this very like split between I'm professional Ebony and now I'm at home Ebony. And while there's nothing actually wrong with that, it can bring up little issues when these two parts of you aren't aligned. And it's so funny that this is coming up because the number one episode that I keep saying I'm going to record and I haven't recorded yet is the fucking part personalities episode. And this is a really beautiful way to actually explain it. And so what happens is we have these different parts of us and you can literally feel it. You can be like, oh, I feel like I'm in my professional Ebony, and we have to basically take you out of that to bring you into a different part of your life. What we actually want, because what happens here is we have these different parts of us, and one has one goal. So professional Ebony has the goal of this successful podcast, and she wants to work and travel and do all of these beautiful things and run events and be at events and make connections and build relationships. But then you've got this like chill at home Ebony, and she wants to be focused on routines and being creative and doing nature walks and, you know, swimming and paddleboarding. We need these two parts to actually be on board with the same vision. This is where it will feel like there are literally two parts of you coming up against each other. I see this in mums a lot where they're like, I want to be a really successful like business owner and build an empire, but I also want to be a really present mom. And these two parts cannot see that there actually is a reality where they both get to have everything. And so what will happen is you'll be like doing really well in your career, but then this other part of you will be like, what about me? I've been forgotten, and you'll feel less than, and this part will try and pull you back. Does that make sense? So that's when I talk about part personalities, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And so what we need to do is actually create a vision where all of this stuff is merged. And during the recode, I'll actually do part of the process as bringing these pieces together and helping them see that there is actually one overarching goal. Even if your conscious mind can't see it, there is actually like a vision, a life in which all of this exists beautifully simultaneously. It's not feeling like you've got to switch from one to the other. So what I want to do now is actually guide you through visualizing this and seeing this all play out. What we do here is this is the part where we're going to allow your subconscious mind to experience this and what it's going to do. And so I just want you to be aware of this and take note of anything that comes up. Your subconscious mind is very naturally going to start throwing up red flags because there's going to be things within this vision that either doesn't feel safe or that triggers parts of you, or like this is where we bring up those limiting beliefs without searching for them. Okay, so throughout visualizing this, I just want you to notice any places where it feels icky, even if you don't know, like it might not be words, it might not be like, oh, this is coming up and it means this. It might just be a feeling in your body. So I want you to just notice anything like that, but also really allow yourself to be in the visualization and really allow yourself to feel whatever comes up. All right, when you're ready, I'll get you to close your eyes. And we're just going to take another big deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And this time I want to really ground you in this moment. So I want you to just see this beautiful ball of white shining light just above your head. And it's just going to wash over you, wash over your head, wash over your shoulders, wash down over your body. And I want you to just feel yourself grounding into this moment, just bringing all of your presence back, bringing all of your energy back to this moment. And just feel the chair beneath you, feel your feet on the floor, your hands wherever they are, just really feel it. And now what I want you to do is like take yourself back to that 31st of December. And this time you're not sitting there journaling, like you're actually replaying everything that you've lived out from the first person point of view, not a bird's eye point of view. I want you to see yourself living these things out. So I want you to see yourself speaking on stage at industry events. And I want you to see yourself hosting your own events. I want you to see yourself recording podcast episodes and releasing them, and see the feedback from the community that you're building with this podcast, sharing all the value and the knowledge. And I want you to literally see like your inbox filling up with messages about how amazing this week's episode was. I want you to see payment notifications coming through from whatever way the podcast was monetized, and really feel it. Like just notice how that feels. I want you to see yourself going home in the afternoon and taking your paddleboard out after an awesome day, or going for a walk through nature somewhere, getting up every day to go to the job that you love, because I know that you love your job. See yourself doing those craft classes or whatever creative outlet you decide to look into. See your routines before you go to work or when you come home. And I want to see yourself in Europe. I can actually picture you. I can actually see you in Europe. Like I have this vision of you like walking through, I don't even know where it is. I can see like almost like a cobblestone street with all these old buildings around, and there's pigeons. Don't ask me why there's pigeons. But you have your phone up and you're like sharing your life and talking about all of the things that you're doing, but it's so relevant to your community. Like there's like a lesson hidden in the travel. It's like there's no disconnect here. There's no disconnect. It's like I get to show up and share my wisdom and share my knowledge and talk about the things that I love whilst I'm also in Europe. I want you to just sit with all that, let it all play out. And what we want to do now is just like really amp up the feelings. Like you can probably see it all really easily, but I want you to take notice of how all of that feels. Like feel the excitement of boarding the plane to Europe, feel the fulfillment of the podcast feedback, the downloads, feel that connection with the people that you are interviewing and the people that are listening to your podcast. And I want you to really dial it up. Now I'm going to dial you up to 10 and then we're going to come out of it. So feeling it on a level of 1, and we're going to dial it up to 2. Just really let those emotions like flow through the body, dialing it up to a 3 and a 4, now a 5 and a 6. Should start to be able to feel like almost vibrations sometimes through the body, and just allow it to flow through. Like it's like your heart's going to burst because it's so fun and it's so fucking exciting. And up to a 7 and an 8. And you probably feel like you actually can't feel it anymore at this point. But I want you to just like really go all in now. And we're going to just like blow it up all the way to a 10. Just feel it exuding through your body. And I can see the smile on your face. I love this. All right. And I've got goosebumps. So we're good. When you're ready, you can come out of that. And now all I want you to do is just reflecting on that, reflecting on where you've just been. I want you to look back to now, or just notice now, what's different. What's different for you? We're not making this wrong. We're not shaming ourselves. We're just seeing the ways that where we are now is different to our current reality. And I just want you to let me know the ways that are coming up that are different for you.
It's exactly what you said. There's a real divide in those two parts of myself because I thought that I needed to do that. And so when I saw all of those things, it was like they are possible only because of the merging of those two parts of myself. I don't know how trivial we can get.
As trivial as what comes up.
Can I dress better?
I love that. That's perfect.
Like I would say that I'm a very confident person.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a physical embodiment of that.
Yes.
I don't know how else to describe it apart from like a strength in my boundaries in terms of in like every facet of it. So boundaries in terms of like no, I
beautiful.
don't do X after X time, but also an integrity so that if I'm speaking to somebody and they say something that I feel like is not appropriate for me to be involved in or say something that I don't agree with, that I will voice that in a respectful way.
What about any like beliefs or thoughts? Like, did anything come up in the way of like beliefs or maybe even resistance to doing those things when we were visualizing it?
I felt like a real pang when you said payments coming in.
Okay, yeah. Where did you feel that?
Like in my chest. It was just
like across here.
It was quick, but
So what I want you to imagine now is just like all of those little stories, all of those howevers, all of those buts, all of those I should be doing this, like all of those things. I want you to just imagine like actually bundling them up and putting them into a big box. And in there, we're putting that pang about receiving payment notifications and any sort of like resistance that you might have to actually voicing your concerns, to being respectful, but really implementing your boundaries. And I just want you to imagine, again, putting all of that into a box, and we're going to tie the box up. And as you look at all of that, if you were to give it a measurement on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being I'm cool, like I can literally just go and do all of this shit now, we're done, to 10 being like, oh, holy fuck, that feels heavy. Where would you say that you would fall on that scale? And it's just the first number that comes into your head. Don't overthink it.
I would say 3.
Okay, cool. That's a really cool place to start.
I just feel like different things came into my head just then, and I don't know.
Okay. No, tell me anything that came up.
Well, I just had this thought that was like, you're not going to be able to keep those boundaries in place. Like under the pressure, under actually being with that person or someone who is compromising you or something that you're going to say, or in a scary situation where it just works better for you to say, okay, cool, and go against what I actually think and what I actually want, that you're just going to succumb to the pressure.
Okay. Can you feel that somewhere in your body?
Yes.
Where can you feel it?
It's the same space, maybe a tiny bit higher.
And I'm curious if that changes your resistance level. It doesn't have to, but it might.
No, but I think it does. There is that heaviness.
So let's add that into the box and let's reassess the weight of the box. So I want you to now put that, like feel that heaviness and imagine just like literally picking it off and like putting it in a box and imagine like that situation playing out where you're like being faced with someone and you know you have to re-implement this boundary, you know you have to say the thing. Now let's feel the weight of that on a scale of 0 to 10.
Oh, it's so different.
It is. That's okay. Just the first thing that comes to your head.
Now it is 8.
Okay, cool. Perfect. And it's also perfect for it to be an 8. And that's cool. What we can do now is shift that down. And this is where we go into, you know, whether we shift it to a 0 or not is actually not the point. And this is something really important that I think we should touch on here that I'm not sure I have in any previous episodes or anything, but it's not ever about getting things down to a 0. What it is about is removing the charge. So things can still come up again, but they're not going to take you out. Like where if you were faced with that situation where you actually have to like stand up for yourself and say the thing that you're actually so scared of saying and like you can feel the lump in your throat, right? Instead of it completely taking you out and you just retreating to that fawn response of people pleasing and being like, oh, I'll just do the thing. It's all good. It's easier. you'll actually be like, actually, no. And you'll voice your concern, right?
Mm.
And you don't need to be at a 0 for that. You can still, this is when people are like, feel the fear and do it anyway. You can
Yeah.
still be at a 5 resistance and still be like, nah, fuck that. I'm actually going to say the thing because I know that this is what I need to do. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
sometimes we don't get down to a 0. The reason that we do the whole like numerical measurement is so that our conscious mind can see the shift. Because you'll notice when you go into the recode that your conscious mind is going to want to call BS. I remember the first few times that I did this, I was like, what is even happening? This is so fucking weird. Like all I can hear is these like murmured words and it just feels like my brain is swaying and your conscious mind really wants to call bullshit to it. But we do the measurement as evidence that something has shifted. And the way that it's evidence is that I've never done a recode and somebody's come back and said the same number. So I can say that with confidence that something will shift. And it might be 1, it might be 2, it might be 5. You might get down to a 2. We just don't know. But it's not about the number. Okay, cool. I'm so excited. So, a couple of things that I want to say. Number 1 is that I'm basically connecting to your energy. I actually can feel things. It's all very intuitive. I get basically like intuitive nudges, visions, sometimes words, sometimes it's just a feeling. Like it's all very intuitive. But I use muscle testing, which is the same as kinesiology if you've ever experienced that, or if anyone listening has ever experienced kinesiology. That's how I'm like really tapping in and trusting and knowing that this is where we need to go. Occasionally, I actually do have a list of things that I'll kind of go down the line and kind of muscle test on. I don't often have to do it, but sometimes it's like, oh, I know that something else is there, but I'm not being shown anything. You may hear me, you may not hear me. You actually don't need to hear me for it to be effective. And this has kind of been my resistance to actually doing a recode on a podcast before, because I'm like, it's going to be a bit weird, like, and it won't make sense to you is the other thing. Like, even if you can hear me, it won't make sense. You'll just be like it's like I'm talking to myself basically.
Okay.
And that's cool. I'm not crazy, I promise. But you don't need to hear anything in order for it to be working. And then the final thing I want to go into is like, I actually have a really beautiful visualization that you can do in order to just like allow yourself to fall into the process. You don't have to stay in the visualization. It's more just, it's kind of like a metaphor for how it's working. So I'll explain that in a minute. But what I also want to say is that if you get taken away, like if you go off somewhere else, like I've had people that go on whole journeys while they're in recode, and that's perfect for you. Just allow your experience to be your experience and like really try to not judge it too much. Allow what needs to come up to come up. It's very safe. What happens here is that your superconscious, your energy will not let us go any further than what it feels safe to do today. And this is where it can be useful for people to have multiple sessions, because what we shift today is going to be really powerful, but there could still be more to it. And it could just be too much for you to deal with in one session. You know, we have to think about the fact that what we're dealing with is things that we've been conditioned on for not even just this lifetime, but also past lifetimes, generations, all of that. Let me tell you the visualization, and it's also a really beautiful metaphor to how the recode works. So what I want you to imagine is there's this beautiful big grassy meadow, right? And what's going to happen, like this meadow is basically your superconscious, your unconscious mind. It's the where all of your memories, your beliefs, your stories, past lives, all possible timelines, like everything exists here, kind of like the quantum field. And what's going to happen is little gophers are going to pop up out of this field. You know, like those little things that live underground? Yeah, it's weird because I know we don't have gophers in Australia, but like that's just the thing. So they live
Kind of, is it?
kind of, they're like little moles, right, that live underground
Right.
and they burrow under the ground. And what that signifies is your beliefs, your limitations, your stories, your memories, your emotions, your conditioning, all of that stuff, past traumas, energetic blockages, all of that are these little moles that basically live underground, and they're going to pop up and they're going to run away. And what that means is like that's the reprogramming process. That's where we're getting to the root cause and we're removing the root cause. We're unplugging from it. And what's going to happen after that is this beautiful feather is just going to come and smooth the ground back over. That's the rewiring. Does that all make sense? It feels like a lot, but just honestly, it's more just a visualization to have fun with and to just let you like kind of soak in. And then whatever happens after that is what happens. When you're ready, I want you to close your eyes. And I'm just going to ground you back into the moment again and then give you the visualization, and then we'll get into it. So I just want you to take a big deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And just again, imagine that beautiful ball of white light just above your head, and just see it wash over your head, down over your shoulders, over your body, and just feel it really grounding you into the moment. Feel the chair beneath you, feel supported, feel your feet on the floor, your hands where they're seated. And I just want you to start to see that visualization, see that field. Present day Jamie here. I am popping in to give you a bit of insight as to what is happening when throughout this recode process. The truth is that to the eye and to the ear that is not involved in the process, it really won't sound or make sense, right? It doesn't make sense because all you're hearing is commands and you don't actually get to fully experience the whole process. So what I want to do is use this as an opportunity to share with you exactly what I'm doing, why, and when. So what you will notice is that I start off by asking for permission to connect to your superconscious. And I also guide you into a really beautiful visualization that is the metaphor for the process and the way that it works. The reason you need to give me permission is because I can't just connect without your permission. You have divine control in all of this. And when you're ready, I just want you to give me permission to connect to your superconscious. You can just nod, you can say yes in your head. I give Jamie permission. I just want you to relax your shoulders and unfold your arms, knowing that you're really safe and supported. Superconscious, are you there? Are all parts on board and desiring treatment? So what you're hearing now is me asking that all aspects of Ebony's personality were on board and desiring treatment. And when I did the muscle testing on this, I got the answer no. And so what I have to do then is call forth the parts that do not desire treatment, that are putting up resistance and barriers to actually having the recode process be done. What we do then is guide them through a few simple steps so that they can see that it's a safe process, that they're not going to die or be lost or anything like that. And we ask them to join the main personality. This is all going to make so much more sense when you listen to next week's episode, which is all going to be on part personalities and how they hold you back. But this was a really big thing for Ebony. So the benefits for treatment are to get more satisfaction and less pain, which is the goal of every aspect. We want to stop intrusions and takeovers and stop the trigger of feelings and emotions. We want to stop losing time. We want all parts to run the body at the same time. We want to stop the main personality hiding information, and a mono personality works best. So what I'm going through at the moment is the benefits of treatment. We want all aspects to see that there are so many benefits to treatment because we want them all to join the treatment team to just go forth. Superconscious, please bring forward all part personalities. I want the inner child, the perfectionist, the confident, the shy, the fetus, the protector controller. So in this, I'm calling forth very specific key aspects of Ebony's personality to work with, to see where they're putting up resistance. Health girly. And we're asking them to join the main personality. The traveler, the nomad, yes. We're asking them to see that they all have the same end goal in mind and they get to experience it all. Bring forward the original events that led to these parts. Let's help them to see that there is a vision, a timeline where all parts coexist beautifully, where no part is left behind, where they actually are all working towards the same goal. Please bring forth all beliefs, particularly around not being able to hold all of these things at once, like around it being too much and too heavy. Do a massive change history and all that is needed. Thank you. Let's scan the chakra systems. So you'll notice that I can really feel it in my heart and my throat through this. So what I've asked is for Superconscious to scan the chakra systems and look for any chakras that are blocked or are holding stagnant energy. You can see Ebony moving through this as well. She's releasing energy herself. And as you can see my hand movements, what I'm doing is helping to physically release the energy and move it through. Bringing forth beliefs and resistance to self-worth and receiving into the sacral as well. Receiving money. Yeah. Please do a massive change history and all that is needed. Calling back all energetic leaks, all ties, everything from other timelines, people, places, things that don't have. So we're just unplugging from energy at the moment. So every person, place, experience that you have, you get connected energetically. And so what we're doing here is just removing those energetic connections. Superconscious has access to all timelines. So what I'm doing here is asking for Superconscious to scan those timelines and those different realities or potentials for reality, past, present, and future, and bringing in to the active experience any things that are blocking Ebony from that. We're also scanning past lives. And you can see that I've gone back to the heart chakra. There was something really heavy there. And the throat again as well. Yeah. Releasing that heaviness, releasing those ties, releasing those blockages. Do a massive change history and all that's needed. Scanning the generations. Let's go to the maternal side. Scanning for the original events, the original beliefs. These blockages, something about receiving money here. Yeah. Yeah. There it is. Do a massive change history and all that's needed. Let's release that. So here we're scanning back through Ebony's generations of family that have gone before her. We hold a lot of trauma, conditioning, and beliefs from generations before us. So we go into both the mother side and the father side in this recode, and we look for the original events and stories. You can see again the heart chakra is coming up. Back to the chakras, scanning body systems, scanning energetic parts. Yeah, to the womb. There we go. Let's go to the heart, the throat, the womb, the gut. Yeah. Just releasing any blockages, releasing any energetic ties, unplugging from those. Yeah. So our body holds energy in all different areas and systems. So we also scan the body systems, the organ systems, the energetic systems of the body, as well as the chakras. And you'll notice I jump in between these. It's because as we move through one thing, we can reawaken something else. Let's look for the stories around worthiness, particularly worthiness to receiving, worthiness around money, worthiness about being able to hold all the balls in the air. Yes, that's the one. Do a massive change history and all that is needed. Here I'm giving Superconscious some phrases to look for and to work with. Heaviness in the heart always tells me that there's worthiness issues. So we will tackle it from the heart chakra, but then also from the belief systems, which is what I'm doing now. Let's scan all timelines again. And let's bring forth those part personalities and just let them see the timeline where all of this exists as one, perfectly simultaneously balanced. So here we've gone back to the part personalities because we really want to make sure that they're all on board and can see the timeline that is available to them where they all get to have everything that they desire. Want to reinstill some beliefs around being able to actually have it all. Like it is possible. We want all parts to see that it is possible to have it all, to be healthy, to have the routines, to have the discipline, to have the freedom and the flexibility, and to have the success. Yeah. Let's bring forth into the active experience the timeline where all of this exists as one. And let's anchor into this. So we're not just unplugging from beliefs in this, we're also plugging into new beliefs and visions. Let's anchor this one in. Some new things for Ebony to anchor into. And just notice any parts that are coming up, any resistance, any stories, anything that conflicts with this. Let's bring that up. Scanning for the original events. Do a massive change history and all that is needed. Thank you. Let's scan emotions, past, present, and future. Yep. Just releasing those. Why can I feel it here again? Let's go back to the heart and the throat. Here we're scanning for emotions. We're looking for triggers and those really charged emotions. And you can see I've gone back to the heart again. There was so much with the heart with this. So we're really opening that up again And again, you'll notice the hand motions. It really just helps me to help you shift the energy. And I've gone back to this word again as well. And let's anchor into that self-worth and that self-love. Yeah, removing any resistance to this. Let's do one final scan. We always finish off with one final sweep to see if anything else is activated or come online that needs to be shifted through. And what's happened here is at some point, one of those part personalities or sub personalities of Ebony has been triggered and is putting up resistance to the treatment. Basically, it's saying it doesn't want to join the treatment team. And so what I'm doing again is going back through the benefits of treatment and asking it to rejoin the treatment team and to see that timeline where all parts get to have everything that they desire. This was a really big theme through this whole recode. So now we're going back through and doing a final scan again, releasing that flow, scanning the body system, scanning the organs. So something big came up in this one around the third eye and a past life. I didn't get given the specific vision. I just knew that there was something in a past life. Again, I'm doing muscle testing and connecting to your energy to receive this information. Intuitively, I felt called to pull Ebony out of the recode to do a little check. So we do check partway through to just see how things are progressing, how the recode is going, and how she is feeling. When you're ready, you can open your eyes just as fast or slow as feels good for you. And I just want you to tap back into that resistance, filling that box, and just notice the first thing that comes up, how that feels now.
Like the number?
Yeah.
Oh, 4.
Cool. Awesome. I feel like we can probably go back in for like just a really quick, like little final tweak if you feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And just see if we could shift it any further. That's a really good shift. I'm really happy with that. So when you're ready, I want you to just go back to that, go back to where you were. I didn't feel like it was all done, but I wanted to bring her out to do a little vibe check and see how she was going. Sometimes people don't feel ready to go back in and to shift more. So I always give people that option. Subconscious, do you see this box? Do you see this resistance? Do you see this like this heaviness, this weight, this final piece? So I can really feel it when these things are happening. That's why you'll hear me say, yeah, there, and I'm rubbing my heart and feeling my throat. I can really feel whether things are feeling heavy or where there is energetic ties. And at this particular point, I was feeling lots of energetic anchors that were keeping Ebony stuck to things from the past, present, future, timelines, places, and people that were really holding her back. So we're releasing those energetic ties. Energy from all past places, timelines, people. Yeah. All this diluted energy. Yeah. Let's look at all the resistance to the past, all the resistance to the things that we don't want to play out. Yeah. Do a massive change history and all that is needed. And the part personalities came up again. So we're just asking them again to rejoin the main treatment team. This was a really big point for Ebony, so it doesn't surprise me that this particular thing came up so many times throughout the recode. Now, what happens is that during the recode process, some parts can become reawakened, and that's why we have to revisit it a couple of times to really get them all to join the main personality. So here I was feeling a lot of heaviness in the sacral and in the womb, and it was really around receiving money. This is really common for women, so we're just doing some work there to release that. You can't see my hand motions, but again, I'm just helping to release that energetically using the hand motions. And again, we're just plugging in some new beliefs for Ebony to anchor into. See that there is a future where these don't play out. These were phrases that came to me. I am worthy. I am worthy to receive. I am open to receive. I get to experience abundance. I get to experience receiving mass amounts of money, doing something that I absolutely love. Yeah. I get to experience mass amounts of abundance, living a life that I love, having the freedom, having the flexibility. And we're just doing, again, a final scan to double check everything, to make sure nothing else has reawakened and nothing else has popped up that needs some clearing. So you'll notice that sometimes I'm quiet. I'm either letting Superconscious process or I'm energetically connecting and passing the wisdom on from there. And you'll see that it's a very clear point when I'm like, we're done. We're finished. We're done. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. And again, just imagining that box. Just let me know on a scale of 0 to 10 what number comes up for you.
2.
Perfect. Love it. We're done. I'm so excited. We actually cleared a lot, but before I'll go into it and I'll let you know some of the things that came up.
Yeah.
Because I think it'll be really cool for you. But I'd love to know, let's get your after. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was interesting. It felt very kind of like I was drifting in and out of different things.
Yeah.
But also I felt a lot in my body.
Yeah.
Like a tightness here.
Yeah.
And then I felt in the middle of my spine at one point, I felt like right in the middle, it was a pang of something. And then here I felt something.
I felt something there.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
I was
Yeah.
wanting to hit something with my head. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then my arms were boop, boop. I don't know if you could see that or if they were. I just felt like they were going.
I'm closed eye. I don't actually see anything.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see anything. It's just all, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So we've noticed that there's no tears.
Yeah.
We're
no
not
tears.
crying. And when you say you felt like you were being called in and out of things, no specific events or anything, no heaviness that came with that.
It was just felt very physical.
Yeah.
Certain points, it was I felt something and then it was gone. It was feel it, gone, moving. And then also towards the end when we went back in, I felt this overwhelming sense of just laughter.
Yes.
Laughing at the box. Laughing at it being that's so funny. Do you know what I mean? That's so funny.
Yeah.
That you thought that was
that. I love that. Is there anything else that I feel like what happens is that you probably feel a bit cooked because so much has moved and shifted, but I'm really curious if there's anything else that you were maybe surprised about, hearing your concerns from before the session to now, anything that you were surprised about that might have come up, or that the way that you experienced it.
It was actually quite relaxing, which I didn't expect.
Yeah.
Apart from those small little feelings here and there, they were very quick. I would feel them and then they would go.
Yeah.
It was just pretty chill and just an overall sense of just letting it happen and letting it wash over me. It wasn't stressful and I didn't feel I needed to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm very, very I have a very active mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was, I think, maybe 1 or 2 points where I was thinking
Drifting
about something
off.
else.
Yep.
Yeah, but the vision really helped me with that.
Which is perfect.
To pull it back into that.
I love it. I feel like I made you speechless. We actually cleared a lot. I could really feel lots of heaviness across here. And when we go into the heart chakra, which is where a lot of that was coming from, it's a lot of self-worth stuff. I don't want to go too far into it because I don't want to bring you back to this stuff, but there was lots of heaviness across here, lots in the throat. And there was a moment where I was I literally, what is that? I don't know what that is. And sometimes I don't even get given the whole vision of what's actually happening, but I can feel that there's something there. So we've released that. We've released the throat. We've released the heart. We've unblocked it to get that flow going again. There was a few things that came up around the sacral, which can be receiving money, which obviously came up. So that wasn't a surprise. So we've released that. Some womb stuff. Pretty much all women have womb stuff. Something came up from a past life. I didn't get the vision of what it was, but there was something there. And the maternal side, your mum's side on receiving, we had to go back to that a couple of times. And then the biggest thing was which isn't a surprise, the personalities. So
Mm.
when we like bring them in, and I like literally ask them to all join the main personality and to see the vision, to see the timeline where everything all plays out simultaneously and like everyone gets to be happy, there was lots of resistance to that. So we had to like really keep going back to that a few times to get
Yeah.
everyone on board. But they were like the main points that I noticed. And then I've kind of like plugged in some beliefs around worthiness and ability to receive and things like that. That was it. That's the recode, girlfriend.
Oh, wow, that was wild. It's funny how inconsequential now certain things are, like things that I felt like the split personality thing. It's like this, what do I share? What don't I share? Like all this tension about it. And it's just now being like it's just such a non-issue.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you notice how like you can't really even access that now?
yeah.
It's like it was
Yeah.
there, and beforehand you would have easily been able to go into it and be like, "Oh, this is there," and
Mm.
kind of like play it out. But now it's like there, if it's like there's a barrier there, right?
Yeah, but that's what
Yeah.
I think where the laughter comes from, because
Yeah.
it's just like a whole like what even is it, like
Yeah.
what what was the block there?
Yeah.
Like why was that an issue? I don't know.
I want to finish by taking you through the wisdom process to get your obvious
Mhm.
next step, because I think this is really important for people. This is
Mhm.
like, well, you actually have just posted this episode this week for us where I talked about like the grounded, obvious next step action. And what people
Mm.
forget is that we actually have access to this. Like, I'm not special for connecting to your superconscious. You actually can do all of this yourself, but you have to be like super tapped in. And so the easiest way to get your grounded, obvious next step. And like when I say that this is the key to collapsing time and quantum leaping, like this is literally the key, because when we keep doing this, like every single day, every single week, like that's how micro we can go. We can literally go like, what's my obvious next step today to take myself one
Mm.
step forward? Or it can be this week or this month or this year, like whatever scale we're talking about. When you start to do those things, it's obvious, right? When you start to take the obvious next step and every single day you do one small obvious next step, like people think the quantum leap is in the big thing that happens. It's actually in the baby steps of what you're doing every single week, every single day. I'm going to guide you through, it's like super, super quick, like 2 minutes max, the
Mhm.
process of how we get this. And you're going to be really tapping into yourself. What we do is we go back into the vision. So we'll go back to the 31st of December because I think that's a really good anchor point. So basically, what we do is we visualize the reality again. You really feel it. And then all you're going to do is look back to you now, like a third person, look back to you now sitting in this chair across from me and ask yourself, what was the obvious next step? And the
Mhm.
first thing that comes to your mind is going to be the thing. What I want to preface this by saying is that it doesn't always make sense. It could be something totally fucking whack, and you'll be like, oh, that makes no sense for me to do that. But I promise
Mhm.
you, when you just do it, because we're not playing on logical timelines, we're playing on, we want a quantum leap, we want to collapse time, we want to just get to the thing, right? So
Mhm.
we're going to be given the obvious next step to get to that thing, to get to that timeline. Sometimes it's actually just, and I used to get this all the time and it would frustrate me, but it would be just keep going, like just keep doing what you're doing. And that's like a beautiful sign that you're already on the right path. You don't need to do anything different. So whatever comes up for you is perfect, but it's really important that you just witness the first thing without trying to
Mhm.
make it mean anything, without judging
Yeah.
it, without trying to overthink it. Because I see this happen all the time. People get one thing and then they get like 5 other things. And it's actually just you allowing your conscious mind to overwhelm you again. So,
Mhm.
okay, let's do it. When you're ready, close your eyes. I'm going to take you back to the 31st of December. And I want you to just go back to the visualization where you're like sitting there in some vibey place and you're journaling out how amazing your year was, and like see the words being written on the page. I want you to like really feel yourself actually writing it out. And like you're reflecting on all the amazing things, like your Europe trip that was so fucking amazing that you like documented the whole journey of, and the podcast that's just popping up, like you're getting feedback from that every single day on social media. The money is trickling into your bank account. You're like killing it even more in your career because all of this stuff that you've done is actually building, like you're actually still building a personal brand. And I can really see it like all starting to flourish and all the pieces really starting to come together. I want you to really sit with that and just see it all playing out. Like the hobbies, the paddleboarding, like the routines. I can see how you start your day doing your things, like the things that get you into alignment, putting on those cute outfits. I can actually see you documenting even that process, like the get ready with me, taking people on a journey with you through your day. I want you to just sit with that and just see it all play out and really feel it. Like feel how it feels. Like it's fucking fun, right? It gets to be so fun. And I bet it feels so fulfilling and just like so exciting every time you see new feedback pop up about the podcast and like feedback from people that have seen you at a speaking event. And I also want you to feel that rush of excitement that comes from hosting your own event. Like at the end of the event where it's like, oh my gosh, like I fucking did it. This is amazing. Okay, now I want you to look back to you sitting across from me in this chair and literally ask yourself, what's the obvious next step? And tell me the first thing that comes up.
Jump.
I love it.
I don't know what that means.
It doesn't need to make sense. And I should have said that before. The way that our intuition communicates with us does not make sense to our logical mind. Sometimes it's a word, sometimes it's a sentence, sometimes it's something really specific that we need to do. Sometimes it's like a symbol or like a picture or something that you physically visualize. Do you have the Work Your Light Oracle deck? You go first, the universe will catch you.
Yeah.
It's like you're already on the right path. You already know the things that you need to do. You've already got all the ideas. Like you're already doing the thing, but it's time to go all in with that, whatever that looks like. Like it's time to start announcing the things that you're doing and just owning it, being like, this is what I'm fucking doing. Everything else will it will fall into place.
I feel like I'm a pretty articulate person, and I feel like this is why this is so difficult, is because I don't really know how to say like what that experience was, apart from the fact that it's just what you need at that time. Like it is just what you need. Like you don't have to think about all the things. You don't have to come in with an idea of what it should be or could be. You just come and it is what you need at that point, wherever you are. Which not many things are. I feel like sometimes you feel like, oh, I've got to do all of this work to be able to make this worthwhile, or you're like, that I liked this, whatever it was, but I might revisit that, in a year when I'm XYZ. It's like, this is whatever you need right now. As you are right now, it's what you need.
Yes. But I love this. And yes, you're right. I think a lot of people wait until they're in pain and they're like really fucking suffering before they decide to do anything about it. And for me, that's one of the things that I really want to change about this industry. And when you deal with these things now, where they are just tiny little leaks, it's easy. And, one session now could be enough for you for months, and you can just go and do your fucking thing. Whereas if you wait and it becomes this big, heavy burden that's completely taken you out of your business, which is what most people do, and I've done myself in the past, it becomes this big thing that you feel like you have to work through in order to get somewhere. And it's just not the truth.
Yeah. And also with the problem solving mindset, and I've never thought about this before, but one of the big issues with that is that you're probably not actually on the money of what is actually wrong.
You're not.
It's just so that whole separation of the parts that is there, but it actually, I don't think really would have been that much. That now I can literally laugh at it. And really it was that came through to me was what will actually stop you from being what you want to be, who you want to be, the success and getting the success you want, is the inability to speak the way that you want to speak. And when you said, for me, I kept on repeating in my head, how you said it before we did the recode, you were like, oh, you want to be able to say, actually, no, this is what I think. And even just those two words, actually, no. Actually, no. How it can be so, it doesn't have to be you're wrong, or blah, blah, blah. You don't have to, you can just say, actually, no, I don't think that.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
it can just be so chill and so not an issue. And yeah, that's the thing, like that's the important thing for me, I think, is being able to voice how I actually feel and think. That I'm very good at doing that in a lot of areas of my life, but professionally not so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Like if you ask any of my friends or family, it's like, yeah, she can voice what she's
Yes.
thinking, but not in that professional setting,
Yeah.
not in the setting that we were visualizing
Yes.
and stuff. And it was very clear to me that's like, if you don't get this like a handle on this, that's going to be the
Yeah.
thing that
That
slows you
slows you
down.
down. That's right. And they're the moments that you get to just come back to here and anchor in. And this is where like the being responsive rather than reactive comes in. Like you take a moment,
Yes.
you take a breath and feel yourself drop here and speak from here, not from here. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
If you want to like really help to reprogram in any new specific beliefs that have like really come up through this, the Think Up app is where to do it. And so what it is it's a free app and you get to record your own affirmations into it in your own voice. And then what you do is you play it just really low as you're falling asleep at night. You can put like background music to it and everything. It's really cool. But you can plug, like literally voice that into the app, play it as you're falling asleep, and it's going to prime your brain while you sleep. I don't do it, like you can set timers for it. I don't leave it on all night. Like just for an hour or two is more than enough. Otherwise you'll actually wake up feeling exhausted. I've done it for like 8 hours at a time. It's not good. So yeah, just an hour or two while you're falling asleep. And the other thing that's really cool to do, and I think this could be fun for you, is to actually record your perfect day in there. So you can go back to like even that reflection of the 31st of December next year and anything that came out and like really just picturing how you start, like, hang on, I'm going in two different directions. So you could either record it of like the reflections from the 31st of December and like all of the things that you've achieved in past tense is really important. That's going to prime the brain. Or you can record it as your perfect average day, which is like, I start my day like this, and these are the things that I do. These are my routines. These are my habits. Then I go to work. This is what I do, and all of those things. This is going to really, really prime your brain and get that reticular activating system, like looking for the evidence in your field and looking for the opportunities in your field to like to do the thing.
Thank
I'm
you
so
so
excited.
much.
It's so fun, honestly, like to have like, I can't believe it's taken us this long to do this. Like you've been in my world for so long, but also like in the podcast for 18 months. And I can't believe that this is like the time that we decided to do this, but it's so fun.
I think maybe we should wrap this up with what you would say to somebody who is on the fence.
Well, this is going to be cliche as fuck, but I also want to come back to this card and say leave. Because the thing is that if you're still coming up against the same things that you've always been coming up against, which so many people are in this space, it's because the things you're doing are not working. And that's okay. We don't need to make that wrong. We don't need to like shame other people for their modalities or their techniques or anything like that. But the reality is that, and again, the cliche, right? If you want something different, you have to do something different to get it, right? And so if you're circling the same levels of personal development and you're not getting anywhere, or you're getting somewhere, but it's like 3 steps forward to 5 steps back, like that kind of vibe, right? It's time to try something new. And I also want to acknowledge that it does feel really scary. Like even sometimes when I'm sitting and I'm speaking about like just what superconscious is in itself, I'm like, holy fuck, this is a lot for people to hold. But also, I want you to know that you actually have access to this as well. Like you can actually do this yourself. You have access to tap into this. I'm actually not special in doing this. If you learnt the technique, you could literally recode yourself. It's just nowhere near as fun. But the experience is always what you make it. And when you come in and you're just like, I'm here, like I'm ready to go. I'm done living the same life over and over and over again and starting every year with the same goals and feeling lost and like not being able to anchor into this confidence and to say the things that I want to say. It's time to just do the thing, like leap, try something new And then the most important thing at the end of the day is to get back into action, because we can go and we can get lost in the world of healing and lost in the world of reprogramming our mind and all of this shit. That actually isn't what makes the difference. It's just, it collapses the time so that your journey now is so much easier. It's the action that makes the difference. It's now going and doing the thing.
I didn't have to, like, I strongly believe that I still would have been able to do a lot of the things that I want to do for, say, this next year. But fuck, it's going to be so much easier.
Exactly.
Now that we've reprogrammed, that's it. That, and there was a lot, but that specific piece of being able to speak up and being able to speak my mind. You don't know what you don't know. And like, I didn't come into this and say, look, I feel like I'm struggling with this, or I feel like this could be an issue, because my conscious mind didn't register it as an issue.
No.
And that's, like I said, that's the thing with problem solving mindset. You very likely aren't going to actually uncover the thing that is actually impacting you. What you're actually going to do is uncover a bunch of stuff that wasn't even really an issue and make it an issue, which is what you say all the time.
Yeah.
So I would say you don't have to be in this place of I have all these things going wrong. It's almost just like a really nice recalibration to put you to, it was actually nice to, some of those things I was like, oh, do I want to do that? Yeah, I do. Like, it allows you some clarity, I think, which I really, really liked.
Yeah. And that's the important thing that you said there, is that you actually can do this without this work. And that's where I think a lot of people kind of get caught, is that they think, again, that the power is in the modality, in the healing, in the journey. It's actually not. It's in you getting to live the life that you want to. But this is like the time collapse. This is you're literally going to take the path of least resistance now, because we've kind of like dissipated anything that might have come up and been in the way.
I love that. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for those who are listening all the way to the end of this. All the info for you to book your session, or if you do have more questions, will be down below. So just down
do
to the
your
show
thing
and click away.
Yeah.